Mary Stankiewicz, I think is the way she pronounces her name, but I'm really not sure. She's this well-known Dharma leader and chaplain from LA who has her own take on meditation that she's going to share with us on February 9th. Then on Saturday, February 16th, I think Robert will mention a little something about Richard Lang, who's doing his annual Headless Way retreat with us on February 16th. We talk frequently about volunteerism here and about connecting with community and the value of that. One of the best ways in which you can connect with community is that you can sign up, write your name on that sign-up sheet that is there by the door. It's on the clipboard. If you come here every week and you get something out of this and then you go away and you never come up and say hi or you never really interact with anybody, that is fine. You're totally allowed to do that. But we would love to know who you are so that we can let you know about other things that are happening here and so that you can feel like more a part of this community, and you're allowed to be however you want to be. But just by signing your name and your email address and your phone number, you're letting us know that you're there. And we really would like to know that you're there and to know who you are in some way. We are pretty well set for volunteers. A whole bunch of you came out for gardening last week, and we've got a fix-it person who is going to be working with us. Yay. But we do need people for hospitality, for cleanup, for cleanup for hospitality, which is on Sunday after the... Ah, yes, okay. Paul, I'm sorry I didn't recognize you waving there. Paul says he needs 2 for the live stream. So we could use 4 more people, 2 for cleanup and 2 for AV. If you feel called to contribute in that way, please contact Kirsten.
8 for cleanup.
Okay, 8. 8 for cleanup? Okay, so we need total then of 10 people.
Well, we always need more help, so if you're willing to help, please come.
All right. The word from Kirsten is, if you're willing to help either for hospitality or for AV live stream, please see one of us, and we would love to put you to work. Then the next thing is Dharma Consults. We offer Dharma Consults as a way of giving you some help with your practice if things are coming up, or give you a quick on-ramp to developing a daily practice if you've never had one before. Jim, you are available? Yes. So see Jim if you want to do it today. If it doesn't work out today, please contact me and I'll set you up with one of our teachers. Let's see. We have a number of other sits during the week. That's on the handout. We have spiritual friends groups. That's on the handout. We have a transitions project where if you have clothing, blankets, things that you don't need, the homeless can use them to get back on track with their lives through the Northwest Transitions Project. So bring them in, we put them in the chest, and they go to the Transitions Project. And then if you have any questions about connecting with this community, please email me, call me, see me, and I'd be happy to do whatever I can to help this place be some place that you look to as something nourishing in your life that gives you something that you really are looking for. That's why we're here. So blessings on your day. Stay dry. Fumbling with my microphone and all my papers. Okay. Got it? Thank you. There you go. You got that.
Thank you. Thank you, Abby.
3 announcement-y sort of things before we launch back into Mary Oliver. The first has to do with Dharma, the practice of generosity and supporting PIMC. Next week, I'm going to have our end-of-year information from last year and speak a little bit about that. But the Dana bowl back there, which was my bowl in Burma, is always happy to transform your work into Dharma. That's what it does. And this does too. Maybe, Misty, would you take this back at the end? Let me get it. Oh, come on now. This iPad is happy to take, it uses your credit cards magically and transforms your extra funds into Dharma again. It's an amazing thing. So, I just grabbed it at the end, okay. The other is my class. I'm starting an 8-week, over 3 months class on Wednesday night. And it's, we're going to be reading a compilation of teachings from Ajahn Sumedho, who I mentioned earlier. We'll read them, and then I'm going to be encouraging people to really increase the time that they're practicing every day. If you're sitting for 20 minutes, I'm going to encourage you by the end of it to be doing 40 minutes. If you can get up to an hour and practice an hour a day, it'll really blow your mind what will happen to it, to your practice and to your life. So that starts on Wednesday. Registration is online. You can find it on the website. And did you mention Mary? You did, Mary. Mary Stanley. We have visiting teachers coming from great distances, one from LA and one from London. Richard Lang is coming this second weekend of February. He's a dear friend of mine, and he's been, this is his third time, I think, of coming. He's making this trip to be here on Saturday from 9 to 9. He teaches this headless way practice, which is very in keeping with what we do here. From 9 to 9, there's a workshop all day, potluck lunch, potluck dinner, and then the evening is 5 Rhythms dance. He's a great DJ, with the emphasis being on headlessness, on being not in your head and being in that which is awake. So I highly encourage you to come. Unfortunately, you can't just come for the dance. You have to, otherwise it's different. So that's that. Okay. Would someone like to be the microphone runner? You want to take your job back? Sure. So a request with the microphone, it's on. When it's not being used, would you point it toward the back of the room? If you point it toward that, we get feedback. So, yeah. So, an experiment. As I was thinking about doing this today, I was in gratitude for Mary Oliver, the only poet of whom I have more poems is Rumi. But I've had such great teachers and such inspirational figures in my life. So there's the Buddha, of course, and Ruth Denison, and various psychotherapists for many years, decades. And then there's the people that I met briefly. Somebody like Robert Bly, who was very important. Michael Mead, who gave me my 5-minute drumming lesson. And Robert Bly, from whom, if you know Bly, if you've heard Bly recite poetry, you'll see him. He's in the way that I do poems. For one thing, I often will repeat a poem at least once. And as Bly said, well, you don't get the lay of the land and the first time through. It takes at least 2 or 3 times before you even get to hear it. His voice always hurts mine. So, the Buddha's last instruction. Make of yourself a light, said the Buddha before he died. I think of this every morning as the east begins to tear off its many clouds of darkness, to send up the first signal, a white fan streaked with pink and violet, even green. An old man. He lay down between 2 sala trees, and he might have said anything, knowing it was his final hour. The light burns upward. It thickens and settles over the fields. Around him, the villagers gathered and stretched forward to listen. Even before the sun itself hangs disattached in the blue air, I am touched everywhere by its ocean of yellow waves. No doubt he thought of everything that had happened in his long and difficult life. And then I feel the sun itself as it blazes over the hills like a million flowers on fire. Clearly I'm not needed. Yet I feel myself turning into something of inexplicable value. Slowly, beneath the branches, he raised his head. He looked into the faces of that frightened crowd. Make of yourself a light, said the Buddha before he died. I think of this every morning as the east begins to tear off its many clouds of darkness, to send up the first signal, a white fan streaked with pink and violet, even green. An old man, he lay down between 2 sala trees, and he might have said anything, knowing it was his final hour. The light burns upward. It thickens and settles over the fields. Around him, the villagers gathered and stretched forward to listen. Even before the sun itself hangs disattached in the blue air, I am touched everywhere by its ocean of yellow waves. No doubt he thought of everything that had happened in his long and difficult life. And then I feel the sun itself as it blazes over the hills like a million flowers on fire. Clearly I am not needed, yet I feel myself turning into something of inexplicable value. Slowly, beneath the branches, he raised his head. He looked into the faces of that frightened crowd. Make of yourself a light, said the Buddha, and then he died. So, is there anything that's touched that wants to be said? And, of course, there doesn't have to be. We could just be quiet for a while.
Hi,
Hi.
I'm Michael. I think The Journey is the title of the first poem you read at the beginning, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, thanks for that. That's been a great one for me lately, and particularly today, now that I think of it. I apologize if this is too much information for a public venue, but I'm not afraid of so much these days, so I'm just going to tell a minute of my story. 3 months ago, I moved out of my house of 20 years and away from a marriage of 10 years. And I'd been cognizant of the necessity of that for a long time. You and I talked about it, Robert, and so this poem, that poem, I've been aware of for a number of years. I've heard it here, numerous times, and I would always say, "Oh yeah, that. Like, what about that?" You don't just get to slough that off, Earlier this past summer, we were at a party, outdoor party. It was really hot, and someone fainted. And it looked like he was dead. I mean, he just went bump. And people were talking about him. I mean, he was okay. He was fine after a bit. But people were talking about him, and who is he, and how old is he? And I heard how old he was, and I said, that's not too far away from me. So you don't have endless amounts of time here you can just, live in fear with. You don't get to be afraid forever. So just very recently, the legal parts of that has started to emerge. And so I get struck by sadness, and when I'm struck by sadness, I sort of panic and feel like, you have to do something about this. You can't just be sad. What are you going to, maybe I'm making a mistake. Maybe I did the wrong thing. Because I have to address that sadness, right? I have to take some action. But a friend called me yesterday, kind of out of the blue, and we got to talk about that, and then I come in today and we're talking about this. So the universe keeps going, well, maybe you should look at this. Maybe what about this? So, grateful to be here. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Temple. I'm from Santa Monica, California, and I go to the Insight Center down there, and I just want to say that I am so very, very, very alive today, and this being with you here, doing this, it just makes my whole body tingle, and I'm so grateful for it. Thank you so much.
And is there anything else, something on the tip of the heart that wants to be said? This is a kind of fun experiment for me today. I've never, until this morning, it never occurred to me to use the guitar with a poem. I started a few years ago to play, and with the intention of using it in teaching, and it's actually happening. And I probably notice the mistakes more than you do. The quote mistakes. You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about despair, yours. I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving across the landscapes. Over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese, high in the clean blue air, are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over announcing your place in the family of things. I love that last couple of lines. Over and over announcing your place in the family of things. The first line's pretty good too. You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let that soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about despair, yours, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving across the landscapes, over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese, high in the clean blue air, are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, this world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting. Over and over and over announcing your place in the family of things. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, this world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting. Over and over announcing your place. Over and over announcing your place in the family of things.
Hi, my name is Kathy. That poem really strikes a chord with me. I'm in the process of transitioning into a traveling lifestyle, and the image of the geese flying, I just love to see the Canadian geese fly over to Reed Canyon. And they're always announcing their arrival and announcing their landing so everybody can follow. The reason that it strikes a chord with me is that we have an opportunity to connect with people wherever we are, and to be able to go out into the world and connect with people. That's really exciting to me. Different cultures and different ways of doing things. And being able to learn to trust myself as I'm learning these new things. It's something that I know will feed my soul and will help me to be able to give so much back. I'm very thankful for that. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Avi. This was the first Mary Oliver poem that I ever heard. Didn't know who she was before somebody showed this poem to me. And I have always believed that this poem was such a gift to recovering depressives everywhere who, as one of them, somehow received the message from the world that, damn it, you'd better be good or else. And damn it, you'd better repent or else. And it's taken me a lot of years to believe what Mary is saying in that poem. And I'm still working on it, but I believe it more now than I did, say, 10 years ago. And I'm grateful for that.
Thanks, Avi. Over that way. Oh, KB woman.
Hi. What comes to my mind is there are so many places and times and circumstances in our lives when we're judged. You know, performance evaluation at work. Are we doing enough for the people we love? Are we doing, enough of this or that? And, what Mary Oliver seems to be saying is, it doesn't really matter. We still belong. We're just as valuable as the rain and the geese and every other part of the natural world. And that, to me, is such a gift.
Thank you. Tell me your name, please. Thank you, Natalie.
My name is Matt. I'm reminded again how connected to the universe we all are. We come from the universe, and a lot of the organizational teachings that we've received growing up tell us that we are above nature, and we rule nature, and we can control it, and so on and so forth. And the reality, to me anyway, is that we're as much in nature as a tree or a bird or a bear, or we come from the same source, we come from the same energy and awareness. And it's hard to keep that in mind throughout our daily lives, and the rage that's throughout the country and the world. And but I think through poems that Mary Oliver has written over the years, I guess into the hundreds maybe, but they need to be brought out, shined, polished, and presented more and more to the world, to remind us all of where we come and how we have to take care of this world, not just ourselves, but the world itself, the environment, and how important it is, because it's, it's priceless.
Thank you. One more, anybody? Oh.
Hello, my name is Bryce, and I am very happy that geese have been mentioned a couple of times.
Can you hold the mic a little closer, please?
I feel like the geese are in here with us a little bit. And I'm reminded of a teaching that the geese have for us. They fly in a V formation to traverse many miles at a time. And it was pointed out to me not too long ago that the lead position is a rotating position, and it breaks the wind for everyone else. So all the rest of the geese are drafting off that lead goose. And that difficult front position is rotated throughout the flock. And the teaching I take from that is to remember to help others, and also, maybe more importantly, and harder to remember, to accept help from others.
Okay. Well, there's one more over there in the corner, please.
Hi, I'm Matthew. It just struck a chord with me on my girlfriend when she got divorced many years ago from her church. She lost all of her friends because they didn't understand why she had to walk her own path. And to me, it just feels like how unnatural it is for us to do natural things. Like for us to be part of a flock of geese, it's just, we just have to come home and we're in our head and forget how to be natural sometimes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who's sitting with something that has some intensity? There we go. Please, last one.
Steel is the word I like associated with my body and spirit. Something came to me last night, and there are many currents in the river, and each current has an influence, but can't change the river.
Thank you. As I approach this poem, I have images of funerals, memorial services that I've conducted. It's one of the poems I suggest to people they might like to have included. When death comes like the hungry bear in autumn, when death comes and takes all the bright coins from his purse to buy me, and snaps his purse shut, when death comes like the measles pox, when death comes like an iceberg between the shoulder blades, I want to step through that door full of curiosity, wondering what it's going to be like, that cottage of darkness. And therefore I look upon everything as a brotherhood and a sisterhood, a personhood. And I look upon time as no more than an idea. And I consider eternity as another possibility. And I think of each life as a flower, as common as a field daisy and as singular. And each name a comfortable music in the mouth, tending, as all music does, towards silence. And each body a lion of courage, and something precious to the earth. When it's over, I want to say all my life I was a bride married to amazement. I was the bridegroom taking the world into my arms. When it's over, I don't want to wonder if I have made of my life something particular and real. I don't want to find myself sighing and frightened or full of argument. I don't want to end up simply having visited this world. When death comes like the hungry bear in the autumn, when death comes and takes all the bright coins from his purse to buy me and snaps that purse shut, when death comes like the measles pox, when death comes like an iceberg between the shoulder blades, I want to step through that door full of curiosity, wondering what it's going to be like, that cottage of darkness. And therefore I look upon everything as a brotherhood, a sisterhood, a personhood, and I look upon time as no more than an idea. And I consider eternity as another possibility. And I think of each life as a flower, as common as a field daisy and as singular. And each name a comfortable music in the mouth, tending as all music does towards silence. And each body a lion of courage and something precious to the earth. When it's over, I want to say, all my life I was a bride married to amazement. I was the bridegroom taking the world into my arms. When it's over, I don't want to wonder if I have made of my life something particular and real. I don't want to find myself sighing and frightened or full of argument. I don't want to end up simply having visited this world. I don't want to end up simply having visited this world. I don't want to end up simply having visited this world. I am always so touched with how Mary Oliver's poems are. They're such manifestations of Dharma teachings, right? Be here now. I don't want to end up simply having visited. I was a bride married to amazement. I know in this personality, I'm in long-term recovery from that depression, that oh, life is so hard, and that in that guidance that I give often in the meditation around notice the breath beginning and notice how it comes out of nowhere. I mean, in my own development, evolution, it's becoming more and more, it's not surprising in the way one might think of surprising, but it's really obvious now. There's no breath, and then there is. And I have nothing to do with it. It breathes itself. I mean, that's stunning. And the same is true with every perception. That moment by moment, life is just, and we never know what's going to happen in the next second. It's so interesting. It gets more and more obvious in meditation, but it's also true in our lives. You just don't know. So anybody else? Does this one touch anybody? Please. And then Connie. Over this way. Come, raise your hand. There we go.
Hi, I'm Teresa. I've been coming here for a couple months. So. Hi, everybody.
Hold it closer. It'll sound loud, but
okay.
It helps. Yeah.
I've seen tons of death in my career over the last 15 years. And the thing that I've always taken away from it is exactly what you said, how we need to live in the moment, but not just live in the moment, but making sure that we're loving everyone along the way, so that we're not just visiting. So I really love that. Thank you.
Thank you, Teresa. And Connie.
Thank you, I'm Connie. This morning I was with my mother, she's 93 and still 14 months in hospice. And this weekend she decided to get out of bed. She hasn't been out of bed in a year. And so my brothers helped her and she sat in a chair. And I wrote down to a friend she forgot about her fear of leaving the bed. And we went through some pictures this morning, and I was thinking about the reflection of her life, because I've had all this time this year to reflect on her life and what I would say in an obituary for her. And this woman wasn't accomplished, is what I was saying to myself. There wasn't anything really exciting I could write in her obituary. And this morning during this poem, I was realizing she went through an incredibly painful childhood and raised children in happiness. Wow. Yeah, we went through her pictures, and she buried a boyfriend to World War II and a son to Vietnam, and 2 long marriages. So she's always been positive. And that's quite a poem to bring that up to me, I'm realizing. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Danny. I just want to say that I'm very grateful that I've been the recipient lately of, I wanted to say the victim of, recipient of a lot of kindness lately. That's been very overwhelming, and in the state of what we call the current world, it's nice to be reminded that every day my friends here in the room are doing wonderful, kind acts. Just a short story, I've been involved in a project about my sister who died of dementia, frontal temporal dementia, a number of years ago. And I've been doing this fundraiser around it, and I got a response in the email about a gentleman who said that his mother had had dementia for 15 years, and he wanted to support this, and he was helping me with this. And then I got another letter from somebody who said, your parents helped me when I was in a really hard spot, and I want to return that. Very touching. So I feel very fortunate. And the one Mary Oliver thing that I think about regularly is a line that she said, I'm going to paraphrase it, tell me what you will do with this one precious life you've been given.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Anybody else? How are we doing for time? Mindful. Every day I see or hear something that more or less kills me with delight, that leaves me like a needle in the haystack of light. It was what I was born for, to look, to listen, to lose myself inside this soft world, to instruct myself over and over again in joy and acclamation. Nor am I talking about the exceptional, the fearful, the dreadful, the very extravagant, but the ordinary, the common, the very drab, the daily presentations. Oh, good scholar, I say to myself, how can you help but grow wise with such teachings as these? The undimmable light of the world, the ocean's shine, the prayers that are made out of grass. Mindful. Every day I see or hear something that more or less kills me with delight, that leaves me like a needle in the haystack of light. It was what I was born for, to look, to listen, to lose myself inside this soft world, to instruct myself over and over again in joy and acclamation. Nor am I talking about the exceptional, the fearful, the dreadful, the very extravagant, but of the ordinary, the common, the very drab, the daily presentations. O good scholar, I say to myself, how can you help but grow wise with such teachings as these? The undimmable light of the world, the oceans shine, the prayers that are made out of grass. And since we're going to run out of time, Danny reminded me, how could this not be part of our morning? Waves of feeling. Who made this world? Who made the swan and the black bear? Who made the grasshopper? This grasshopper, I mean. This one who has flung herself out of the grass, the one who is eating sugar out of my hand, who is moving her jaws back and forth instead of up and down, who is gazing around her with enormous and complicated eyes. Now she lifts her pale forearms and thoroughly washes her face. Now she snaps her wings open and floats away. I don't know exactly what a prayer is. I do know how to pay attention, how to fall down in the grass, how to kneel down in the grass, how to be idle and blessed, how to stroll through the fields, which is what I have been doing all day. Tell me, what else should I have done? Doesn't everything die at last? And too soon? Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? Who made the world? Who made the swan and the black bear? Who made the grasshopper? This grasshopper, I mean. The one who has flung herself out of the grass, the one who is eating sugar out of my hand, who is moving her jaws back and forth instead of up and down, who is gazing around with her enormous and complicated eyes. Now she shifts her pale forearms and thoroughly washes her face. Now she snaps her wings open and floats away. I don't know exactly what a prayer is. I do know how to pay attention, how to fall down into the grass, how to kneel down in the grass, how to be idle and blessed, how to stroll through the fields, which is what I have been doing all day. Tell me, what else should I have done? Doesn't everything die at last, and too soon? Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? from the Buddha, my death is certain. The time of my death is uncertain. The place of my death is uncertain. The way of my death is uncertain. How then shall I live my life? Today, this afternoon. My death is certain. The time, the place, the way of my death is uncertain. How then shall I live my life? Today. I don't kneel and fall down into the grass often enough, do you? I have so much important stuff to do. Confessions of insanity. So, any comment? The kids are not quite here yet. Are they? They're arriving. Well, I guess that's it. Though.
Do we have time for one more?
One more question? Comment?
No,
sure.
I just have to say, one of my greatest teachers is 15 months old. And that poem, falling down in the grass and all that stuff, I'm doing it again.
So. Great. She's the master of it. Yeah. Okay. Thank you to Mary Oliver. Whatever happens after we die, may she have moved on to something really beautiful. So let's make a big circle and welcome the kids, and we'll blow out the candles. Oh yeah, good, thanks. It looks as though we need some help in here. So who's going to come into the inner circle and be with us? Oh, good, there you go. Oh, good. Yay. Yeah. Hi. So, sitting here in the grass, in these precious moments when we get to touch each other's hands. And to those of you joining us out there on the internet, hi. Hope you have a hand to hold. We all have our own bodies to come into contact with, breathing, touching, alive. Please let us give the hand of this precious human to our right. Give it a little squeeze and wish them well. We may never see this person again. Even if they're a loved one, we never know. And so the person on the left, give them a little squeeze. What would be your greatest, deepest, most generous wish? And so around our circle, hand to hand and heart to heart, sharing, receiving, and extending these circles now to the homes around us, to this city, out into the forests, our brothers, sisters, and others of the air, the earth, and the waters. To those who have extraordinary power, political and wealth. To those who are powerless. To those who are being born in this moment, taking their first gasping breath. To those who are breathing out their last breath right now. To all of us, may all beings know happiness and the causes of happiness. May we all remember our true great nature. And so, we come to that ancient ritual. You guys ready? Yeah. 1, 2, 3, go.
May all beings be happy. May all beings be happy. May all beings be happy. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Yay, thank you. And now, what would be your greatest, deepest, most powerful wish? Why not let our minds be filled with that rather than the fears and judgments and all those things that they tend to. So, I'm going to take it. You guys ready? Going to take a big deep breath. Not yet. You have to wait for the count. 1. It's long, isn't it? 2. 3. Blow. Yay! Please say hello to your neighbor and let's come and have a cup of tea and we'll see you soon. Thank you, dear friends, out in the net. Thank you.